Hey, what's up YouTubers? Lee John Blackmore here at Super Easy Guitar. So I'm doing another Q&A lesson this week, and I had a question from Sega Rigme, and he said, can you teach us some theory, because I don't want to get lessons from a guitar teacher. I just want to learn from you. So respect for that, bro. And you know, it's always a good idea to get lessons outside of YouTube, because they'll put you on a program and you know, you'll just learn better face to face, okay? So that'll help you immensely. But what I will do today, I'll show you how to memorize, well, kind of memorize all of the notes on the fretboard. So if you're watching a video and someone's like going, oh yeah, we're playing a G or whatever, and you'll be like, hang on, which one's G? So I'm going to show you kind of a few things that I use to help me memorize all the notes on the fretboard. So to make it easier, I'm just going to zoom in on the fretboard, all right? So the very first thing that every guitar player should learn should be the open strings. Hopefully you guys all know that by now. So from the lowest string, the thickest one, to the thinnest, it's E, A, D, G, B, E. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. Or the other way around, every bad girl deserves an egg. Whatever you use to remember that is very important you know the open strings. So I always say to my beginner students, always learn the notes from the open, which is O, up to the 12th fret, okay? And the reason being is because when you hit the 12th fret, everything starts over again. So all the open strings, when we hit the 12th fret, and some of you will see, I've got dots on here. Hopefully you can see the dots. And we use them to help us out, okay? Now on the 12th fret, I've got a double dot. If you're using a classical guitar, flamenco guitar, you might not have a dot. No big deal. Some people put little stickers on the back, that's fine. Or you can just count up. Normally as well, where the body hits the guitar on classical music, classical guitars, that's normally the 12th fret. On this one, it's the 14th, okay? But where this symbol is here, that's my 12th fret, okay? So when I play an open on any string, that's E, A, D, and so on. At the 12th fret, that's going to be E, A, D, and you can hear it. Now it's one octave higher, which means that has 8 whole tones, okay? Oct meaning 8, has 8 tones, like 8 whole tones are like A, B, C, D, F, G, okay? And half tones are like F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and D sharp, so on, okay? So they're half tones. So altogether we've got 12 notes on the bottom E string. All we have to do is learn them. So whatever string you play, you just go up one, right? So here we go. It goes E. The first fret is F. F sharp. G is the 3rd fret. G sharp. A, because, you know, after G sharp, it goes back round to A. That's the 5th fret. 6th fret, A sharp. 7th fret, B. 8th fret, C. 9th fret, C sharp, 10th fret, D, 11th fret, D sharp, 12th fret, E, okay? Now, you probably noticed as I was going through there, E had no sharp, it was F, and B had no sharp, it was C. So they're the only two things you have to remember on the guitar when it comes to memorizing the notes. The E and B, sat in a tree, have no sharp. Now this is something one of my students just come up with, you know, I've just always remembered E and B have no sharp, but his kind of little rhyme was E and B sat in a tree, have no sharp, or however you want to remember it. So E has no sharp, so it goes to F. F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. E and B sat in a tree, have no sharp, so it goes straight to C. C sharp, D, D sharp, E. So that's one way of remembering it, okay? Now, what I tend to do, where my dots are, where you can see these symbols, I try and use those as shortcuts. So the 3rd fret is G, the 5th fret is A, and the 7th fret is B. So gab or golf and balls, whatever, however you want to remember it, okay? So whenever I go to the 5th fret on the bottom string, I know that's A. Now, anytime you're on the 5th fret and you play that note, it's always the same as the note next to. Okay, so that's an A, so therefore the next string is an open A. So if I go to the open A string and play the 5th fret, okay, the next string's a D open, so I know that note's a D. I go over to the D string, play that, 5th is next to the G, so I know it's a G note. They sound the same. Something strange happens on the G string. We have to play the 4th. It's the only one that changes, and that's just because the way the guitar's set up, okay, and the way the guitar's tuned. And so we play the 4th fret, so that's B, and you'll hear it's the same as the open B. And then on B we go back up to the 5th. So any guesses? Yeah, that's going to be E, okay? So the 5th fret, all the strings are the same as their neighbour, apart from the G, where you have to go down one, alright? So that's one thing to remember. So if you've got the bottom E string, E, F, F sharp, G, and so on, up to 12, and by the way, 13 will be F, 14, F sharp, 15, G, and so on, okay? Now we're on to the A string. We use the same rule, right? So open A, so the next one up from A is going to be A sharp. The next one up from A sharp is going to be B. But remember, E and B sat in a tree have no sharp, so the next note is going to be a C. C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Remember, E and B sat in a tree have no sharp, so F, F sharp, G, G sharp, then we're on the 12th fret, A, same as the open. So you can do that whenever, test yourself, hit a random note. Okay, so I'm just at the 7th fret on the G string and see if you can work that out. So whatever string you're on, it's the same principle. So you start with an open, you know the name of the open, so that's G. You want to get to the 7th fret, so it's G, G sharp, A sharp, B. B and E sat in a tree, they have no sharp, so C, C sharp, D. So the 7th fret on the G string is a D note. So you can use that, you can test yourself randomly along the fretboard, okay? That's all you have to remember. E and B sat in a tree, they have no sharp. Okay? So the other thing I use to help me is finding octaves across strings. So what do I mean by that? So if I wanted to find the octave to E, I know if I go to the octave, there's 8 whole tones higher, so I know I go to the 12th fret, and there's E. So if I want to find the octave to G, which is the 3rd fret on the bottom E string, I know I go to the 15th fret on the E string, and that's also G, and that's the octave. But actually, we can find this a bit closer to home, and I know it's there. Okay, so it's exactly the same, but it's easier to get to because there's my first one and there's my second one. Guess what? There's another one. It's right up there. They're all over the place, okay? They're always repeating. So you saw me doing that thing at the beginning. So what I'm doing there, wherever the note I want to find the octave to, in this case it's the 3rd fret on the bottom E string, which is the note G. What I do, I jump a fret and then I jump a string. So first note, I jump a fret, then I jump a string, and there I'm going to find the octave, okay? And it's kind of actually diagonal away from it. And if you're familiar with power chords, playing with 3 fingers, you'll find that note there is an octave as well. Okay, So skip a fret, skip a string. So therefore, if you know all the notes on the bottom E string, you also can work them out on the D, because it works backwards as well. So if I'm on the D string and I play the 9th fret, so I don't know what note it is, so we can go diagonal across and we go, look, it's the 7th fret on the bottom E string. Or in reverse, we go jump a string, jump a fret. That's B, okay? Because we know G, A, B. Alright, but then you saw me do. So obviously we talked about when we play the G string, everything goes 1 fret lower. So what that means is there's going to be a bigger stretch in between our notes to find the next octave. So let's go back to G, okay? So here's G, skip a fret, skip a string, or to go backwards, skip a string, skip a fret. All right, but at the beginning you saw me do this. So once I've found the first octave, I put my first finger there and I skip 2 frets and skip a string. So whenever I'm coming past that G string, it's always going to be 2 frets. Okay? So I know that note there is G, right? Because you can work these things out in reverse. Skip 2 frets, jump a string, skip 2 frets. Skip a string, skip a fret. That way you'll be able to work out all the notes on the fretboard. So I hope that helps you out a little bit, guys. So there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. Don't forget to send me any questions you can put in the comments box below. As you should already know by now, I've done a Spotify playlist with virtually all the songs I've done, and you can find me over on Instagram and Facebook as well. Enjoy. I'll see you again the same time next week.